Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something clicked.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
All right. So, where would you like to start? Do you have any parts you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with?
Yeah, I'll just riff. I have a little kind of, I've been working with a little dynamic that's been going on. I've identified them as urgency and collapse. So it's kind of urgency versus collapse.
Okay.
Urgency operates, really well on caffeine and sugar and busyness.
Mm-hmm.
And is all the time trying to just keep me away from this collapse. And I thought at first that urgency was the protector and collapse was the exile, but I think that they're both protectors in some capacity, and actually underneath what they're both protecting from is this longing of the heart. So this longing of the heart to belong.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps coming, it just keeps coming up, this longing to belong and the sense that I don't belong and I'm on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that little kind of dynamic, and that's kind of what I was going to bring this morning. And then in the early hours, I was awake and rage just popped up, big and fierce and dynamic and very present and wanting to be violent, kind of stab things.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't, I guess the way in is to feel and see which wants my attention most. That's what you're going to ask me.
Yep. You're right.
I don't know. Let me just give it a sec.
Okay.
I feel urgency is the one that's up so often and feels very present now.
Okay.
And I'm sure they're all, of course, connected anyway.
That's right.
I don't know. Rage is kind of like going, oh yeah, of course. I never get chosen. Never want to see my true colours. So that it's a little bit pissed off with that.
Okay. You can acknowledge
decision.
that. Yeah. I feel like we have at least spoken about rage. It's come up repeatedly. I don't know how much we've worked with it, or I recall working with it.
We had it in the box, under the box.
Yeah.
So again, it was stopped from being present.
Right.
But go on.
Right.
You were going to say something else.
I was just going to say your use of the word urgency sounds new to me.
Yeah.
Just wanted to comment on that, but of course, rage is also welcome in my book. So
yeah, of course, they're all welcome, James. Right?
That's right. That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, I think it was a few weeks ago, I kind of tuned into this urgency, or gave it, this idea of urgency, this name. And it's just really useful, isn't it, to have enough distance from parts that you can know that they're not who you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And give them a space to. I haven't really explored it that much. I just did these little voice memo recordings where I get to the point, I guess, of identifying the parts, but I don't, and just giving them a bit of space and acknowledging them and so on, but not really much beyond that. That's feels harder to do outside of calls with you. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like let's just move in the direction of urgency and see what happens.
Well, we could let rage know that it's still on the list and I'm still very curious about it, and that we can come back to it sometime. Just see if it will give you space.
It's kind of giving a resigned shrug. It's not thrilled about not having the space.
Yeah.
But it's used to it. Something like that. It does recognize that I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And that it likes that.
Okay. Yeah, if it feels right to
have
offer
the stage at some point.
If it feels right to offer it anything else or spend any more time with it, you can do that.
I think it's just got a bat, and it's going to go and destroy things a little bit in the woods.
Okay. Yep. It's a very important part.
It really is. There's some hesitancy about not going there, actually.
I can also, commit to bringing it back up later in this call or in our next call.
Just give me a sec. I'm going to see what's the right way to go. There's some little empathy part which is feeling sorry for the rage, not getting the stage. It feels sort of mournful, sad, sorryful. Because it's sort of walked away a little bit defeated.
Right.
I think there's an agenda part that wants to look at rage. I think that's what's happening.
Right. As seeing it as really important and.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yes, that's what's going on. And although it was up in the early hours, it isn't necessarily here now in the same way as it was then. Indecision.
You can always flip a coin.
Oh no, I hate the idea of that. Here we are. Let's go with urgency.
Okay. How do you notice it in your body?
So it feels like it lives 1 to 2 millimeters in front of the whole of my body. And it's constantly pulling me forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it has this very strong need to keep me moving.
Okay.
So it's like it's what operates my hands and head and throat.
Okay. And right now, how do you feel towards it?
There's a wariness. It's definitely curiosity. Oh, the wariness. No, that's the wariness belongs to the part. Doesn't want to be found out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Doesn't like anyone having its number.
That's right. Wants to keep its position. It's the driving force.
Okay. Is concerned it will lose its job if we get to know it.
Well, yeah, and that will lead to its nemesis collapse.
Okay. Okay.
If it doesn't keep its job.
Okay. Just acknowledge that, and if it would help to, I don't know, offer it any way that we might proceed that feels right for it and for you, or ask it.
I'm asking. It's just I'm just asking if it would be able to, if we could have a little bit of physical distance between us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really afraid.
About
of letting go of control and of the control and of that leading to collapse. It's really terrified of that.
Okay. Does it feel like you collapse very well?
As a part.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really worked with collapse, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know the state very well.
Sure. Yeah, I was just asking, thinking maybe, the more of a relationship you have with that other part collapse, the more you would be able to speak about your likelihood of being taken over by it.
That's right.
I think we can honor the request of this part that we don't disturb its role, and that our goal is to get to know it. And if it has requests of us about how it wants to change, or any requests at all, that's what we'll be looking for.
It wants me to promise not to move a muscle. Like it just wants. It's saying, like, if, and it's only if it considers moving a little bit away, it's only under the promise that I will not shift a muscle, because it just wants to make sure that I'm not going to collapse.
Okay.
Doesn't believe that I can't. Yeah, it doesn't believe that I can't stay upright unless it's there.
Right. Okay.
And so I'm just going to let it know that I can. Promise it that I can.
Mm-hmm.
I can stay upright, but also that I will try to not move too much physically to show it that that's the case. I'm saying it's been a long time since collapse happened, and it's saying, I know, it's because I've been there.
Uh-huh.
Because it's been there.
I wonder how it sees you. Like
it hasn't. It's only just starting to.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
Oh, just the idea when you're responding, well, I won't collapse, or I can stand upright. And if it has a disagreement about that, is it because it's seeing you as a child, or it's seeing you in some other state?
And I mean, really, this is one of the very first times that we're talking as two separate things.
Mm-hmm.
So, a new relationship.
Yeah. It's good to take them slow.
That's right. Yeah, it's saying because motivation and drive haven't been present, so it's had to be there in the past. And I'm just sort of saying, hi, here I am. I have some of those things now in a way I might not have before.
Another idea is that you could let it know that you are just as interested in getting to know the collapse part. And so that's just could be part of the process.
Collapse, but right. I'm not the collapse part, that I'm a distinct from that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but basically that it's not the only part that ever is going to be in the spotlight and has to change or anything like that. It's that you've already seen that it's part of a polarity of a system, and that we want to get to know all of them.
Just giving it a lot of time. Saying it doesn't have to rush or do anything different, actually. It wants to stay very close physically. Right, that feels okay to me. It doesn't feel like I have to have it sitting on the other side of the room or in front of me or anything.
Yeah.
Like that. Like I can feel the distinction of it enough from this position.
Yeah. And, my first question that I'm usually asking a protective part is, what do you want me to know? Or what do you want me to know about yourself? So you could even kind of run that by it as just see how it feels about a question like that.
I think it wants to talk to me rather than you.
Great. Yeah.
So you're saying, what does it want you to know? It throws it a little bit. well, it wants me to know that it hasn't felt able to do anything but be in its position.
Right.
Because the risk is too great of it not being there.
Mm-hmm. And the
Can't
risk is
stop.
collapse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can't stop. Yeah, nowhere to land and rest. Keep moving.
Okay.
Just keep moving, just keep moving. Can't stop, can't stop, can't stop.
Okay.
Gotta keep moving.
And does that make sense to you about how collapse is why it's its nemesis? Why it's so important?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. And there's particularly a piece around me being a mother, like, the eldest is 16, so there's something around that, like,
especially
really,
as a mother, collapsing is not,
since having had kids,
sure,
that it's really not an option.
Yeah.
It feels like collapse is around the corner at any point, and so it has to just be alert, hypervigilant.
Yeah.
And always on.
And you were saying that it has been a while. This part saying, yeah, because I'm doing my job so well.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time at the beginning of the month when, not this month, anyway, about a month ago, my family are away for this period of 10, 11 days, which is the longest I've had away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. And there was a little there was a glimmer of there was a real fear. Yeah, what am I trying to say? It's not that collapse happened. It's just that the need to be on so much was diminished by my family not being around.
Got it. Yep. A little less mothering to do.
Yeah.
Collapse might have had a crack to come in. Mm-hmm.
And I think that the feelings that can lead to collapse were sort of more available because I wasn't so busy. I wasn't so occupied.
Right.
And that was a bit terrifying for this part.
Yeah. Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So it feels like there's the threat of it at any moment. And it's kind of like, well, that was a bit close. Last month. So there's no sign to it that it's possible for it to step back.
Okay. I keep getting this kind of intuition of maybe we should talk to collapse and learn more about it, because this part is dug in and it seems to have a very good reason. It's saying it's saying what it's saying about how important it is not to collapse. And you could ask it or ask yourself, would that be useful to learn more about the collapse?
Stuff that wants to be said, but I don't know what it's going to sound like. So not in response to your question, just around this dynamic. Okay, and that might come from collapse, actually. So maybe that is the way to go. Because it's like collapse happened when the overwhelm was so strong and so-called depression was so large, and the availability of access to support, understanding was not present. I'd never met it. And so the strength of feelings was overwhelming, and that was the result.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of talking to urgency here, I suppose, just sort of, I'm trying to reassure it.
Yeah.
But it's not going to listen to me necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily going to believe my logic. I'm trying to give it maths.
Right. You're explaining the logic of collapse.
Yeah, why it happened and why it is unlikely to happen in the way that it used to happen. But
Right.
It's not really interested in hearing any of that. So
yeah,
I just needed to explore that one.
Mm-hmm.
So let me see what it thinks about me talking to collapse. It's interested in collapse being thought of as a part.
Yeah.
This is new territory for it. This is new. This is really sort of actually turning things on its head a bit for it, in as much as if it's a part and that's a part and I'm here, well, what does that look like? What does that mean? So it has some willingness and curiosity too.
Me too. I'm trying to figure that out too, you know.
Uh-huh.
What does this mean to have this system and this dynamic?
And in me asking the question, it sees me more.
Right.
It sees me more.
Right.
I'm starting to appear more distinctly as we go along. It's a completely novel concept to it that it's a part and that collapse is a part.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Because it's been running the show. Yeah, it is wild. It's been running the show as me.
Right. Right. Very normal.
That's right.
Especially for manager parts, especially for keep busy parts. That's kind of what people are doing in general, and and what we're told to do by so many. I mean, there's whole books written on this is how you fix depression. This is how you need to go do stuff, right?
That's how you are successful. This is what the path to success looks like. And it's still trying to get to success. According to its agenda of that.
Yes, and that sounds like maybe another avenue or I'll call it an avenue, which I imagine leads to perhaps the exile that you mentioned earlier. It has its nemesis, and then it has its it's
what it's protecting.
Reason. Yeah, it's reason for working so hard. Collapse feels really unformed
really blobby, naturally enough.
Well, when you mentioned considering it apart, I have my own questions, because when you just the word collapse, to me, it's like, okay, just the word collapse is a symptom, kind of. It's like, well, I collapsed.
State.
And so I am wondering, what is this? Is this a cluster of parts? Is it depression, some overwhelm and depression, like you also named, and that causes me to collapse, or is the part a collapsing part? And that could all just be mincing words. We can find out if we tune into, how it shows up when it does, what it feels like in your body.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm quite scared of it, actually. There's some fear there. Yeah.
Okay. Good noticing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that this busy part's fear, or is there another part that has the fear?
It feels like there's something. It felt like a distinct part from the urgency.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can we welcome that part?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a lot riding on this one. There's a lot that's wanting to keep me away from this part / state / symptom.
Yeah. Yeah. Collapsing, it feels like a big disaster.
A big disaster, yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I mean, the image I have is me literally on the ground, lying down in a kind of fetal mess, a fetal heap, crying, or just stoned.
Yeah.
Zoned out. Yeah, it's either one or the other. It's either, overwhelming emotion, the crying oceans, part, or just off, just gone. Dissociation.
Okay. It sounds like there's already that distinction that you're seeing is the two types of collapse, or the two states.
One leads to the other.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to say?
Nothing. Just gonna reflect back what I'm hearing.
Yeah. The tears was there, and then the solution was the blanking out, because that was too much to take.
Mm-hmm.
But the blanking out wasn't functioning. It didn't create a functioning part. It was just more of the same, not moving.
Right. So the busy moving part, it sees those as kind of they're both in the same bucket of collapse, which not moving because you're zoned out, or
too overwhelmed by the pain within.
How's the fear of learning more about these other parts?
It feels like okay. I don't feel it so much.
Okay.
I'm just feeling lots of love.
Great.
And empathy. So there's some sadness there, some tears there as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's a bit of judgment there that was masking itself as empathy. It went, all those wasted years. And I went, that sounds like not particularly kind.
Well, yeah, and I wonder, is that a part's judgment, or is that this part's grief? Saying, look, I wasted all this time being in this state.
Yeah, it's grief.
Yeah, so many parts feel that. Grief from not being understood for so long, or feeling stuck in their role or wherever they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, both of those things, not being understood for so long. You know, it's my 20s. It's like this time of one's life when there's so much potential for being alive and dynamic and making things.
Mm-hmm.
And that wasn't the case for me.
Yeah. And does that feel like kind of the biggest era, when the collapse, the overwhelm, and the distraction?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it started earlier.
Uh-huh.
But yeah. Yeah, 20s. Yeah, there's a real grief around that loss of that era, because that decade, because it's has so much potential.
Yeah.
And it leads to so many things that, you know, it's kind of decades can be building blocks for the next
Absolutely
decade. And
yeah. And how does it feel to just speak to that and witness that with this part or parts?
it feels important, and
Definitely.
yeah, it feels the grief part is really, really grateful for having some space in this moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
To be seen. I'm thinking about the end of my 20s when I met a therapist that really was amazing. First therapist, and how much that changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met my husband. And then we started having kids. And there's some significance, I feel like, because I don't know, there's something about I wanted to hide from the responsibility of life and doing things properly, like getting a job and a career and further education, and just going into motherhood instead. There was a biological urge as well, but there was also a wanting to, yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that going into motherhood is hiding from responsibility.
Yeah.
And
ironically, there's no greater responsibility than having kids.
Got it. Yeah.
But, you know, hiding from that box of responsibility, which is career, you know, success, financial, you know, independence, deep, you know, furthering myself.
Yeah. And a lot of that is coming back up for you now as your kids are getting older.
That's right.
You're now looking and getting back into career.
Yeah. And
focus.
You know, that's right.
And so a part that's hiding from that is still not happy about that, I'm wondering.
I'm wondering that too. Doesn't feel like it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, you're doing great connecting with this part. I was just doing some hypothesizing there.
It's a good question because it's not really evident, but it's a good question for me to ask myself as I move forward to see if it's just there in the shadows. So, where are we?
I am listening most for the one who wanted to hide from responsibility.
Oh. Why is that?
I'm not sure I could explain it, but it just sounded...
Okay. Yeah. Important.
Yeah. Maybe you might have even worded it as I wanted to hide. And so that might have kind of indicated to me that this part is suddenly very present and speaking. And that could also be some grief, I wanted to hide, and I don't know.
Can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling that.
Okay.
I mean, I can really feel into how strong it was then, how much it wanted to escape from those responsibilities by, the irony is huge, but anyway, by starting to have babies. It really wasn't. It's interesting. Maybe you just wanted something that I can't, but I don't feel that.
Okay. Let's stick with what you feel.
Because what I, in that regard, what I feel is this moving towards a career, moving towards, further study and deepening that area of my life feels like it's emerging from within myself as a result of this work, being of freedom coming, and that emergence being allowed to come through. So, yeah.
Okay. So then I'm in my notes rewinding to grief, overwhelm, distraction, possibly mostly related to this 20s.
Yeah. It's hard to think back to that. I was just so unhappy. I was so lost and so unhappy and so alone. And there was no one there.
Do you have more clarity on apart? Are we sensing apart, apart who is in her 20s? Is that also the part that this busy one is most concerned about?
Yes, I think that's right. That feels right. She was just living with this, it felt like a universe of sadness and carrying it around.
And is she aware of you now?
She's just sort of looking up, noticing, taking me in. She remembers when she still used to make the mistake of calling my mum to talk about things that she was struggling with, and how awful that was, because it wasn't met in the way it needed to be.
Right. Yeah. You just let her show you how that was for her.
So then there was no one. There was no one there. But I'm showing her that I'm here now. She's just really taking her time, because it's very surprising to her to see me. She's used to there being no one, and then suddenly there's someone.
Yeah. Just stay asking and curious about what it was like for her. Maybe, what things did she need support with? If that feels useful.
She wanted to be seen. She wanted to be heard and listened to and got. She wanted to be got. She wanted someone to get her.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of this. Because I went to Asia. I went traveling on my own when I was 21, and we talked about this part by the river. She was 21.
Yeah. I really felt like nobody got her.
Overwhelmed with the pain of it, and crying to the point of it just stopping, because there was no one. There was no one. So then she just started to block the pain out as much as she could.
Yeah.
Because that was unbearable, it was unbearable to feel that kind of degree of pain.
Of course.
All the time. All the time. And smoking weed was a really good way of doing that. What was your question?
I don't think I had one.
You said, what does she need from you? Is that right?
No, I don't believe I... No, but that is the question I am wanting to ask eventually. I'm starting with witnessing, understanding what it was like for her, introducing yourself, And yeah, just really understanding what were the supports that she needed. What was it like for her? If there's grieving to do, then to do that, and to spend as much time as a part needs, which is often much longer than any conversation.
That's right.
I have with a caller, to just witness it and acknowledge it and respect it, honor that struggle and pain until she gets what she wants, which is to be got. And then I move on to, what can I do for you?
She's just taking a really long time to take me in.
Yeah.
It's a lot for her that she's not alone. But there's someone that's interested.
That's right. Someone who wants to get her.
And wants to understand what it means to get her, for her.
Right.
This thing, really, the specificity of it.
Right, because she's more than just an overwhelmed person or a stoned person. She has all of her qualities that because she didn't feel like they were got, she became overwhelmed, or she needed to get distracted.
Yeah. That's right.
So my next suggestions are to just stay with her.
I agree.
And, it might be helpful to just kind of double check, going back to the first part you brought up, the urgency. Double check to say, are we in the right place here? Is this what the urgency was so concerned about? And if so, just to let it know that you're on the job, and that you're working with this part in a way that only you can. And we're still not kicking urgency out of a job, but hopefully we can learn more about,
see what
this thing that it's been working so hard to prevent.
Yeah. Give it a see if it's interested in a bit of hammock time.
Right.
Eventually.
And I can see now, when you were saying, I don't know if the collapse is a protector in exile, you mentioned the exile having the kind of longing to belong, wanting to be seen, wanting to be heard. And I can see now, especially with these parts in their 20s, for example, they often have the kind of dual nature of it has its protector qualities of getting distracted, etc. And it has its exile qualities, because at that age we do have so much access, and it's not like working with a 5-year-old.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. So I am going to, what she wants is to write.
To write?
Yeah, she wants me to write. I don't know exactly what it means or how, whether it's her story but my commitment is going to be to spend time with her
Awesome.
And writing down what we find. That's what she wants.
Okay.
Because she wants it to be concrete. She wants it to be something has a material, that's material, not just
to really be seen and heard.
Right.
And not just
a digital, recording is too ethereal. She wants paper and pen.
Yep.
It was the 90s, so it was pre-digital.
Yeah. Okay.
For me. Okay.
You're up for that? You know how to do that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions? Any questions, concerns, anything?
No.
Okay. Bravo.
Good. Thank you. And to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye. Be in touch. Bye.
Okay. See ya.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.